Right, everyone, welcome to, I'm going to get us started here tonight. Welcome to our Body Back in Balance Summit. Today is the start of a 3-day experience. And for those of you that I have not yet met, my name is Amanda Hinman. I'm the founder of Hinman Holistic Health, and I'm so honored that you are here tonight. We're going to be diving into a surefire way that you can gain clarity, simplicity to massively increase your energy, your mood, and your metabolism without crazy extremes or using GLP-1s and all the fads and all the quick fixes that we find in the marketplace today. So I'm super excited to be here with you today and just take a moment to connect. I know we have a couple people tuning in from different places. So if you want, you can pop into the chat, let us know where you're from. Please let us know if where you're tuning in from, where you're located, and what is the number one thing that you are looking to get out of today's session. I'm here to serve you. I want to make sure that I provide the greatest value and impact to you. There's a whole lot of, intention and thought that goes into these sessions. Great to see you. Great to be here with you. And as always, we get to have a fun night together. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. Thanks again. Welcome. I'd love to see where everyone's tuning in from. You can either send a message to me individually or make sure you select share like to everyone if you're sharing it to kind of just the whole group here. Um, but as we get started, let's tune in and look at our conversation today of how you can help bring your body back into balance and increase your energy, your mood, and your metabolism from New Mexico. Great. Great to have people from Illinois. I see from New Mexico, from Arlington Heights, from Canada. Okay, cool. Lots of different people from all over. So great to have you. And like I said, today is all about um, really giving you that chance to have a 3-day experience to supercharge your energy, understand your hormones, and reclaim your health. My goal is that heading into the holiday season, especially this is the time of year where many people can have a slide back in their health. And we want just the opposite to be true. We want this to be a chance where you can really start to see an elevation and actually clarity, simplicity, and momentum forward for your health. So I'm so honored you're here. These 3 days can create a true turning point that you have been waiting for. And so let's talk about what you're going to experience over the course of the next couple of days. Tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday evening, we'll be together at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 6 Mountain Time, 8 Eastern Standard Time. And today, Monday, we're going to be talking all about the important objective that's often missed and overlooked, whether we're looking at health from a functional medicine perspective, even if we're looking at it from a conventional medicine perspective. And this is the missing link, that it's this concept and this idea that we have to calm the body first and then it can heal. Then it can actually optimize and supercharge our energy, fix our metabolism, give us that mental clarity, that focus that we're looking for and seeking. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, my promise, my objective to you is to help you understand the 3-part framework to connect the dots in your body specifically. This is what I call hormone integration. And this is something that is often disjointed pieces of information that we get from all different, health providers, fads and trends and different supplements and different things that happen. But it's not until we can bring this all together and actually look at the cohesive pieces of the puzzle for your unique body and where your body is now, and how you can have this hormone integration plan to really create notable change that actually impacts your life. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how to expand your capacity, how to build a body that can hold more energy, more confidence, more peace for the long term so that this stays with you for many, many years and decades, not just a couple weeks or a couple months, and then you're kind of right back on the hamster wheel of where you have been previously. So that's where we're going. That's kind of what we have in store for this experience together. Like I said, my name is Amanda Hinman. I'll be your guide over these couple of evenings. I am a functional medicine hormone health coach specializing in support for women in their 40s and their 50s. I've helped hundreds of women to rebuild their energy and their hormone health. And this journey started kind of through my own personal journey. I had my own autoimmune diagnosis several years ago, about 17 years ago. And it came at a time when I was completely shocked. I thought I was, quote unquote, doing all the things right. I was a group fitness instructor, a sports performance trainer. I was eating salads and smoothies every day. I was working out at the gym. And I thought that was what described health is, eating lots of vegetables, working out, and training your body, and that should equate to health. So I was completely blindsided when I had this just, onslaught of just breakdown in my body. I had this constantly like wired but tired feeling. I couldn't get my mind to settle down and actually sleep peacefully and like energize my body. I was, losing hair like crazy, falling out in clumps. I had really, really low like dips in my mood. I would like snap at my husband and snap at my kids. I was just like not a fun, pleasant person to be around. Had struggled with bloating and like alternating bouts of like diarrhea and constipation. So like things were going on with my gut, things were going on with my mood and my energy levels and just all sorts of like chaos in my body. And that's when I found out I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's an autoimmune condition where your thyroid, which regulates metabolism, is not working optimally. And that was through that journey, which then led me to dive deeper and really understand like what else is at play besides just what I'm eating and besides just how I'm exercising and working out that's truly affecting my health. And a few months after my autoimmune diagnosis, things got even worse. My worst nightmare happened. I have four daughters, and this is again many years ago at the time where my oldest daughter was 8 years old. She started having such extreme anxiety that she was having anywhere from 10 to 15 seizures in a day. And it was absolutely terrifying to feel so helpless to know what to do to help my little girl. I mean, she was taking four benzodiazepine medications every day just to make it through 24 hours without having another seizure. And we were told by these amazing doctors and pediatric neurologists down at, one of the most prestigious children's hospitals in Chicago, sometimes these things are hereditary. And there was no exact reason because I'm saying, well, how did she start to develop seizures? Like, where did this come from? I don't understand. She was a perfectly healthy kid or seemingly perfectly healthy. Just like I didn't understand where my autoimmune disease had come from. And there was no clear root cause that they could point to. I was just told that sometimes these things were hereditary and we could manage this through medication. But my little girl became this blasé person. She was no longer like the witty, sharp, fun, energetic little girl that I recognized when she was on so many anti-seizure medications. And I knew that there had to be more to the story of what created this imbalance, these unwanted symptoms in her body and in my body. And that's when I went back to study functional medicine. Functional medicine is really about helping us to understand how the different systems in our body, how our immune system, our hormone and endocrine system, our digestive system, all the different systems in the body, nervous system work together and either create a dynamic where there's a blockage or an impairment or a depletion that's leading to the unwanted symptoms or leading to the diagnosis, if you will. The diagnosis is just another way of saying a name for a collection of symptoms. But just because we have a diagnosis, like I was told I had Hashimoto's, my daughter was told she had epilepsy, that didn't give us any useful information about what caused those diagnoses and what we could do to heal and to have the body create new health and build health. Same thing with the women I work with. I work with so many women who have been struggling with all of the unintended, undesirable consequences of hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's or insulin resistance and anxiety and polycystic ovarian syndrome and hypertension and you name it, a whole host of different diagnoses. That's like a name to give a collection of symptoms. But again, it doesn't tell us what to do to restore and build health, to improve your energy, your mood, your metabolism, so that you can feel good in your body. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. What do we do to actually rebuild and restore this energy, this vitality in your body? And I just do want to offer and share as a reminder for everyone who's tuning in today and who's watching the replays They are going to be available for the next 7 days. So I definitely want you to go back and soak all of it in and take all of your insights and ahas. They will be available for 7 days on the Body Back in Balance podcast. If you haven't yet, you can listen to the audio feed and the podcast there. Some people like to listen on the go. I know that's me. Life is busy. So oftentimes it's like while I'm, you know, in the kitchen doing stuff, or even in the car driving, the kids to practice or something, it's easier to listen to things on the go. So I want to make it as easy and accessible for you as possible to get this information, because it really will create a shift and a change in momentum for your health. So again, you can go to the direct link, use the QR code, listen to the replays over the next week on the private podcast. There will also be emails sent out with the video replays if you prefer to watch that way as well. And I'm super excited because there will be a new opportunity that I'm sharing tomorrow. This is the Body Back in Balance 30-day makeover experience. Normally, this is a $997 experience for 30 days. It's where I help you get customized blueprint, strategy, support that's personalized to where your body is now and allows you that direct momentum to start to create this shift, this change. I'm doing a special. Obviously, it's the Black Friday, it's the season of specials and holiday gift giving and all of that good stuff. So for a limited time, it's for $497. So at a special investment, you can access that. And I'm, as a bonus, adding on an extra month. So you get support the whole month of December plus January as a bonus month, because many people are like, I want to make sure that I'm kind of keeping that momentum going as my New Year's resolution, starting off 2026 in a really good place. So stay tuned for that. You will hear more about that tomorrow and how you can have that opportunity. And today, as we get started, I want to share with you how I define optimal hormone, mood, and metabolic health, right? Because we all have the kind of different ways of looking at this. And really, what does it mean? I mean, I have women tell me every day, I just want to feel better. I just want to feel good in my body. I just want to have energy. So, what does optimal health actually look like? How do we know when we've reached that level or when we're in that place? This is kind of a definition that I've come up with, is that you have steady energy and focus that feels calm. Like you can be grounded, centered, and present in your life. You experience restful sleep and clear thinking. This isn't that frenetic, kind of crazy, where it's like hard to focus and your brain's constantly jumping from one thing to the next and feeling overwhelmed. It's not the depleted, I have no energy, I'm just want to like disassociate and zone out on, scrolling through social media or sitting on the couch and watching the next Netflix movie. It's that you're sharp, you're clear, you feel energized. In fact, you feel inspired and eager, enthusiastic about things in your life. It also is when you have that confidence and that strength in your body physically, you feel good, you're comfortable. It's not being riddled with like aches and pains and stiffness and inflammation and water retention. You don't have this like sense of weakness where you can't do the things that you used to do in your body. And you experience frequent presence and connection to everyday moments. So this is how I define optimal hormone, mood, and metabolic health. I invite you to think about, like, does this resonate with you? What part of this is something that you want to, lean into and have more of? Maybe you have a different definition of what does it mean? How will you know when you have reached that optimal level of health and vitality in your life? What does that look like specifically? And here's what I have so many women sharing. I just want to say, if you find yourself thinking or saying these things to yourself, either internal dialogue or even in conversation with friends and family members, you're like, I'm doing everything, but I still feel tired and bloated. Or I can't lose weight no matter what I try. It's just like it's stuck on my body. Or you feel like something deeper is off. You know that you kind of maybe you've been to the doctor, you've had a couple of like checkups, you've been told things are fine, or maybe you just have been told like, yeah, you know what, we could bring your hemoglobin A1C, those levels are getting a little bit close to pre-diabetes, or you could afford to, bring that cholesterol down, and you kind of get the generic suggestions, but you know that something more is going on because you really just don't feel good day in and day out. in your body. And I think it's important that we take a look at if there's something from your recent or even your distant past that is blocking your current health improvements. And what do I mean by this? Oftentimes we don't even realize it, but experiences that we've had in the past when we've tried to perhaps make changes to our health or tried to improve things and it didn't go the way we wanted or didn't work out can lead us to have some doubt. And it's specifically it's what I think of as what I name as why bother syndrome. It's almost like hard to summon the commitment and the desire and the willingness to prioritize our health at the top of the list. And that's understandable, especially if we feel like we've tried things before. So here's the things I would invite you to just kind of even maybe take pen to paper or stop and listen and think about this. Which of these symptoms could be showing up for you? And that's a sign that there's something in your either recent past or distant past that is blocking your current health improvements now. So, why bother syndrome? There's kind of like three main buckets, if you will, three main categories of what I think trigger why bother syndrome. The first category or first bucket of things falls under the category of it doesn't work. Maybe you have tried working with a health professional, you've tried working with a doctor or a program or following a diet, and it hasn't worked for you. Maybe you even found a little bit of success temporarily for, like I said, a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, but then things kind of just reverted right back to where they were before. This could be that you worked with a functional medicine doctor or a naturopathic doctor or somebody who ran a bunch of labs for you. And maybe you said, hey, okay, I want to find out all the information. I want to get all the knowledge of what's going on in my body. It could be a nutritionist that recommended a nutrient plan, or maybe you tried to follow, one of those 21-day fix programs or Whole30, or did an intense elimination diet to start to heal your gut and heal your autoimmune. It could be a chiropractor that you worked with who suggested a bunch of supplements for you, or maybe some other program like Weight Watchers or some other program where friend had amazing results, or trying some of those GLP-1s. I mean, we see these on the market everywhere. And for you, it hasn't worked. You haven't had the same experience. Or like I said, maybe it worked for a little bit and then went right back to where you were and kind of slid backwards. So if you've ever had that situation, first I want you to know you're not alone. It's like virtually every single person that I've ever worked with. And this is just kind of one of the categories that could be now blocking your next health improvement and transformation. So just seeing it, identifying it. The next kind of category or bucket of why bother syndrome can look like what I call investment traumas. This is where maybe you invested both your time and your money in a health solution and there was no return. You still don't feel fantastic in your body, right? Maybe you hired someone and they didn't provide you what your body needed or your life needed at that time. Or maybe they gave you certain protocols and recommendations, but it was way overwhelming. And it wasn't something that you could actually stick to and build momentum. It wasn't giving you a new skill set and a new set of tools that were going to stay with you for the long term. So inevitably, it felt like it was a waste of time or money, right? And that frustration, that hesitation is now perhaps getting in the way of you putting your health at the top of the list and prioritizing that in a new way. The other one is, again, kind of a whole bunch of collection of like micro hits. These are not one big thing in particular. It wasn't maybe one big, specialist that you work with or one program that you did. It could be that for a long period of time, you haven't seen the results or the success you've envisioned for your health and for your body. You're taking action, you're following strategies, you keep finding more and more things that are going wrong. And it just seems like this never ending rabbit hole that leaves you feeling frustrated and stuck as a result. And you worry that things will never change. It's kind of just like, hey, this is just like, do I just need to accept this is just the way it is? And I'm just going to kind of continue to be at this place in my body going forward. Maybe you fantasize about having more energy and how like much more liberating that would feel day in and day out. You procrastinate or avoid doing things that you know would probably be helpful. Perhaps it's like getting into that consistent, steps every day, getting some exercise, getting the workouts. Or maybe it's like, hey, I know that if I had a different strategy or a different clarity around my nutrition and my meals, or even if I knew what my body needed in terms of how to support my hormones, but I just haven't made that appointment. I just haven't invested in the support. I just haven't taken that next step. Um, Maybe you compare yourself to others and come up short, or you worry about the future. It's kind of like, hey, you know what? I've had some kind of conversations or some inklings from my doctor from different symptoms that I just don't feel settled. I feel like anxious about, what runs in my family and what could likely happen in the future about your health. If you feel like you never have enough time to prioritize your health, because you have a lot of other things going on in your life, in your career, with your family, with all the different taking care of other people, that you seem to be put lower and lower on the priority list. Maybe the joy is going out of your life because you just don't even have that energy, that enthusiasm, that eagerness, that excitement about different things that you're looking forward to. And you hesitate investing in support or mentorship or education or accountability. These are signs that you're you're kind of stuck in that why bother syndrome. So it's helpful for us to identify this and to see it, right? We have to just like call it out and see the honesty here. No judgment. There's no blame, there's no shaming. It's just about seeing it, because once we can build awareness, now we can start to move in the direction of overcoming why bother syndrome and start to see what is possible when we shift. So I want to know if you are struggling in any of those areas that I talked about. It doesn't work for me. I have some investment trauma because I've tried these things in the past and like feel like it kind of was a waste of time or money, or it was something where, it just I had all these kind of little things that over time accumulated and didn't seem to work out. But I want you to know it's not about willpower. All of the above, yes. So people are saying, I've had all of those. Well, Joanne, you're not alone. I think we can relate to these. And I want you to know it's not about your willpower, it's your wiring. This is not a discipline issue. And that's why I think most of us women, we are hard on ourselves. We think like, oh, I should be able to do this, or I just don't have enough discipline. It's not an issue of discipline. It's an actually issue of disconnection. And what do I mean by disconnection? So when we think about healing the body and really creating the sustainable shift and the sustainable change in your energy and your mood and your metabolism and your vitality, we have to go back to the root. Just like I was talking about my story with my health, healing from autoimmune, healing my daughter's situation, very seemingly different, completely random and different diagnoses, right? Mine was Hashimoto's, hers was epilepsy. They seem completely unrelated, and yet they were so similar at the core, because the root cause of imbalance or blockage or depletion in the body starts with always what's happening in the nervous system. Your nervous system is what helps you to manage stress. It helps you to manage immunity. It helps regulate your digestion. It regulates your hormones and your endocrine output. It affects all of these different systems in the body. And your nervous system is divided into these two phases: the sympathetic fight or flight response and the parasympathetic, what I call rest and digest and heal response. And it has these different functions, and it's meant to toggle back and forth between both of these phases because we need both, right? But unfortunately, many women don't even realize it, and they're stuck in sympathetic or stuck in parasympathetic, and they don't have this beautiful balance and this toggle back and forth. So, in other words, their nervous system is not working and effectively um, signaling for the rest of the body. And I like this axis. I find that visuals are helpful. They can give us kind of like a overall sense of understanding. So this is what I call the HPATG axis of interconnectedness. And when we think about our hormones specifically, your symptoms give you clues about your metabolic health and your metabolic hormones. And this is why they're all connected in this hierarchy of signaling. First, at the very top is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is located in our brain, and it's really the control center that helps to interpret our world. It is kind of the focus point of your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations. It's influenced by your emotions. And this is what now is signaling to the rest of your body about the status of the world. Essentially, it's saying, hey, are we safe? Are we A-okay? Or, oh my gosh, stranger danger, there may be a threat. We have to be on high alert. We have to be in sympathetic fight or flight response, right? So it starts at the top with our hypothalamus, interpreting our environment and our world and the safety and our well-being. That's going to then signal to the pituitary gland, another area also located in the brain that helps to regulate the physiological environment in the body. This is going to signal what hormones are excreted, what neurotransmitters are coming out. It's going to tell your body about how to respond given the information about the status of the environment that you're operating in, right? So I'm making this kind of very almost robotic in nature, but it's actually a really beautiful sync. It's a really cool connection and orchestration. I hope to inspire you with how much complexity and how much um, intelligence is automatically designed in your body. And then from there, it signals to the adrenals. The adrenals are really the regulatory centers of our stress response, whether the body is letting off cortisol and adrenaline, norepinephrine, epinephrine to kind of let the body know, like, hey, we have to prioritize that fight or flight response, or if it's going to upregulate the immune strength and really keep our immunity going high and really allow us to, like I said, digest and absorb and heal. Then that signals to the thyroid gland, which is helping to regulate our metabolism. So oftentimes when women say, hey, I want to come to you, I want to fix my weight. I can't get rid of this weight around my midsection. And man, my mood is just all over the place. Well, how well is our metabolism working? Do we have to fix the metabolism? And if we do, we definitely have to look upstream, look up the ladder, because what is happening before we even get to metabolism, right? And then eventually it goes down and helps to regulate the rest of our hormones, estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, and our reproductive capacity. But the reason I like to show this in this hierarchy is because this little quote that Charles Swindoll says at the bottom, life is about 10% of what happens to you and about 90% of how you react to it. So it really gives a frame. Like when I was in the days where I was eating salads and smoothies and working out for 2 hours a day as a sports performance trainer and a, group fitness instructor, I thought I was doing all of the healthy things. I had no clue that I was constantly stuck in this fight or flight response based on what was happening in my body and a lot of the limiting thoughts and beliefs that I had just inherited and also was living with. I had no idea how much that was affecting my immune system and really depleting before that autoimmune diagnosis. So it's interesting to look at this. And I like to kind of give 4 different archetypes or common patterns that I see in working with hundreds of women over and over and over about the ways that our nervous system can become dysregulated and how these 4 unique root cause patterns affect and show up in the body. So let's see here. First, we have what I call the overachiever. This is the person who typically has elevated cortisol, high responsivity, that like the body is very sensitive. Often they experience things like wired but tired. It's when you can't get your mind to settle down. That can also be a cause of holding on to belly fat around the abdomen. Insomnia at night is really a common, complaint. Afternoon energy crashes where you just like are depleted in the afternoon, cravings for salty foods. And really the root cause here is constant sympathetic activation. That cortisol is being primed and demanded of very, very frequently. And so this is a situation where like the solution, the support for this type of an experience is going to be different than the other ones, right? But we know that this is affecting the cortisol levels, it's affecting the adrenals, it's going to create these different unwanted symptoms in your body. The next is the nurture. That's again a very common pattern I see. This is where we have kind of running on empty. Usually you're giving out more than your body can actually keep up with. This is usually a symptom of like feeling burnt out and undernourished. They experience low energy, feeling depleted, mood dips. So a lot of times if you find that you just can get really snappy or really just low energy, almost like depressed energy, it can be a sign that likely it's one of these challenges with the nurture burnout, right? Low protein or not enough specific nutrients. Your body is not getting, it's kind of like expecting your car to go when you get in to drive, on the highway, but you haven't put any gas in the tank. Well, it's not, it's just kind of common sense that the cells in our body need to have the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, all the things that they need in order to work well at a high level and do the job that they're designed to do. Hair thinning is another very frequent symptom here. So the root cause is parasympathetic exhaustion and nutrient drain. The next archetype, if you will, is the analyzer. And this is where we can get into mental overload. Oftentimes, this is where people have really low dopamine levels. They're stuck in overthinking, decision fatigue. What they can experience are things like brain fog, analysis paralysis. You just can't make decisions. It seems really hard. You're very indecisive and feel like these anxiety loops where you just notice that you almost like dwell on a situation or an experience or a conversation that you had, and you just keep kind of going in the loop over and over. Low motivation, really hard to like just actually feel clear, feel inspired, and feel ready to take action. Um, Oftentimes there's cravings for sugar, like where we want that like quick fix, that dopamine hit, or even another dopamine hit is like scrolling, right? We just want to veg out at the end of the night and like scroll on our phone, social media. That is seeking, it's a dopamine like thing that we're trying to do. So the root cause here is nervous system freeze and neurotransmitter depletion. That's the third one. And then the fourth one is what I call the seeker. So this is where there's hormone chaos from inconsistency. So maybe you just really don't have a good routine and a good health rhythm in your life. And so maybe you can like start off strong and you know what? Okay, I'm gonna be much better this month. I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna think about my meals. I'm gonna get into some movement and get, some good exercise routines going. So you've got like the best of intentions and then fall off. Hormones are on a roller coaster. It's like up and down. You can experience weight fluctuations, mood swings, high stress sensitivity, GI symptoms. A lot of times this has a lot to do with our gut health because there is a lot of inconsistency there and irregular routines. So a lot of changes in week to week or even day to day in kind of how your life is experienced and how you show up. And the cause here is switching between that sympathetic, that parasympathetic with no steady baseline. It's almost like your body is constantly trying to catch up with you. And it really has this like whiplash effect that builds over time and creates a lot of chaos and a lot of like destabilization, if you will, in your health. So as I'm sharing these kind of different components, I'd love for you to put into the chat which one seems to stand out to you. And we're going to get tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing with you. I actually have a energy assessment that will help you go through a whole list of different questions about your symptoms, about your kind of some lifestyle questions that will help you to know specifically which one you are. So definitely stay tuned tomorrow when we talk about the hormone integration piece and how to really understand where you are and then what to do with that information, where to focus so you get some real traction and some momentum. But as we think about these, I'd love to have like anyone have any guesses about what you think you're at right now. Feel free to type that into the chat and just share kind of what's coming up for you. I know that when I was really struggling with my health, I was definitely the overachiever, like just go, 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 never set still. Can you be a mix of two? Yes, you definitely can be. Sometimes it's like you kind of toggle back and forth. I'm just asking, like, I feel like the overachiever and the analyzer. And that definitely could be. Chances are that just means there's more areas in your body that could use support, right? So it's showing up in a couple of different things. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely, that's a possibility too. Um, all right. So when we think about these, again, our symptoms, they're not random. They're actually the pattern responses to the dysregulation in our nervous system. So once we calm this and calm your system, then you can finally absorb the nutrients, get your body what it needs to fill in those gaps, fill in what's missing. And yes, your hormones can heal and can find that balance. Let's see, Joanne says, I've been doing this for a long time and have managed to achieve all four, but mostly the first two. So you managed to achieve all four. Yes, I'm with you, Joanne. Like I've been in the place of several of these too. So the first two, the nurturer and the overachiever. It's like we do as women, I think we put a lot on our plates. And I'm just going to speak, I can't speak for others. I can just speak for myself. It was almost like I didn't even realize how much I was conditioned to think that I would just be able to like navigate through everything and it should be fine. Like I shouldn't need to take care of my health and do self-care and think about the things that really are necessary to function at a high level. It's interesting because I know that I work with many different women in all different fields, from, women who are primary caretakers for their parents, and that's a lot of, intense emotional and time and energy effort into that. And then women who run multiple businesses and, very successful CEOs. And one thing I will know is the people who recognize that their own health has to be a top priority because it's a just like that HPATG axis, it's a ripple down effect. When they're functioning at a high level, everyone in their life benefits. Everyone that they care about most benefits. Everyone that, their career benefits, their kids benefit, their spouses, everyone is better off when they have said yes to actually put themselves at the top of the list. And it's part of it is like being strategic, right? It's being efficient and doing it in a simple, strategic, repeatable way. So there is some like skill set needed to do that routinely, but it really does make a difference. So again, going back to this idea that the first step to true healing is calm first, the nervous system, and then it can heal because our nervous system has to feel the sense of safety, especially if we want to talk about fixing our metabolism, especially if we want to talk about ever being able to really consistently and effectively for the long term optimize our weight. Because the weight, our nervous system thinks weight, like extra pounds, extra fat, is like a safety net. It's kind of like when we think of like winning a lotto jackpot. If you win $20 million in a lotto jackpot, chances are you're going to feel pretty relaxed and more comfortable financially because you have a whole bunch of resources in the bank or money coming in, right? Well, that's kind of what it's like for your body when it says, hey, you know what? We've been running in fight or flight response, or we've been just all over the board with our nervous system. So I don't know what our energy needs are going to be in the future, but at least I have the stockpile of fat reserve that I can always tap into if needed. So that's actually reassuring to the body when our nervous system doesn't, when our body does not feel safe. Um, Chronic stress blocks hormone balance. And so we get to reset the stress response to release weight and to restore our energy consistently. So what happens though is the opposite because our mind, when we know that we have something in our health that we don't like, the first thing that usually happens, at least for me and for most women I talk to, is our mind goes to solving the problem. And our mind's like, okay, what's missing? What do I need to change? What do I need to fix? It's solving for the wrong problem. It's looking for what's the new supplement or what's the medication or what's the diet or what's the exercise routine? What's the stress technique? Maybe I need to do more, I just need to build in meditation, or maybe I need to, you know, talk to a therapist, whatever it is, we think about what's the new thing I need to do instead of thinking about, wait, what's the balance? What's the signaling that my nervous system has been living with currently? What is the signaling that's been happening that's been creating the results that I'm getting? And then how can I be more refined in the signals that I'm giving my nervous system, right? So when we think about this, I like to break this down into a simple formula, because optimal health doesn't have to be overly complicated. In fact, I think complication is a toxin. It's overwhelm. That's not useful. We want to step away from overwhelm and go to simplicity and go to consistency, go to repetition. That's where we get that stable foundation for the nervous system. So really it's like three categories. Maximize. Know what do you need to put in for your unique body at this time? What raw materials does your body need to function or to heal? And this is like looking at like the oxygen, water, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, proteins, healthy fats. What are the things that your body needs specifically? Where are there probably some gaps that maybe you haven't been getting enough of? Or like I always put this like little thing about crap food. Where are we perhaps taking in foods that are not aligning with our nutrient needs and are not providing the raw materials that your cells need to function, not putting gas in the engine, if you will, right? Then we want to minimize. We want to simply take out what is harmful for your specific body. This can be things like toxins, infections, allergens, trauma, stress, but it's also like I call these toxins limiting beliefs, fears, negative expectations. Sometimes we haven't even stopped to think about what is the negative self-talk or the limiting beliefs that we have. Mine used to be a huge one was about my relationship with time. I had a terrible relationship with time because I always had this narrative that I don't have time, I don't have time. Well, that's a choice, right? It's how I'm relating to time. Now my relationship is I always have enough time for exactly what is the highest priority. It's just about if I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's like, oh, that's just a priority misalignment. I get to go back to my values and realign my priorities so that I can more clearly use my time effectively. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's really about have I tuned into and tapped into how I'm using my time to match it up with my highest priorities, right? That was me. I definitely had a very dysfunctional relationship with time for many, many years. I also didn't even realize how much trauma I had lived through from just different dynamics and family dynamics and different things like that. It's like sometimes you just need space to be able to process and take the learning and have new clarity, new insights so that you can actually get the gift from trauma. And yes, I did say that, get the gift from trauma so that it's no longer holding you back and triggering your nervous system. And then we have the last kind of bucket is prioritizing. Again, putting yourself on the priority list so that you can create an environment for true lasting healing so that your nervous system can come into balance. This includes time for sleep, rest, laughter, stress reduction, exercise, stretching, breathing, meaningful relationships, positive visualizations, and associations. Now, again, it's not about overwhelm. It's not trying to do all of these things. The key here is helping you to identify where is your body and your life now. And you can tell it by the physiological symptoms. You can tell that by your lifestyle habits and patterns. And this is what we're going to be doing tomorrow is kind of mapping those with the energy type quiz. And it will help you see which of these archetypes, where are the holes? Like it's kind of like if we have a bucket and we're trying to fill the bucket with water, but they have three holes in the bottom, and I just keep pouring more water in the top of the bucket, but I haven't fixed the holes, that's not really going to be a sustainable solution, right? So we're going to help you to figure out which are the one or two or a couple things that you want to prioritize and pay attention to and either maximize or minimize or reprioritize in a new way to really create this momentum and this change and this shift in your body so that your body can then heal itself and naturally seek wellness. And it's this law of cause and effect. I always like to come back to this. Like these things do not happen randomly, even though sometimes I thought, admittedly, I thought when I had my autoimmune diagnosis and then when my daughter had her seizures, it seemed to come out of the blue, but it's never out of the blue. It's just simply out of the unknown. I hadn't yet understood all of these pieces of the puzzle that were completely logical. Once I knew and understood and could kind of figure out where were the holes in my bucket, what was actually causing my nervous system to signal to my body that my immune system wasn't supported and had to like my body had to like have this autoimmune response to it, right? It's not about, you know, it's not about any type of punishment or reward. It's just recognizing that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if we're living in a health situation that is not something we desire, then there was some preceding action that we can identify, we can start to look at, we can start to have some information about how to signal to the nervous system to calm first so it can start to heal, so it can start to build health. And then everything that we can do and that we can put our action will create this momentum to give you a new and different result, a new effect. I want you to know that this is totally possible, and it's my opportunity to like show you and share with you what are some of the situations, what are some of the things that when you have clarity, when you have simplicity and you have a personalized roadmap that works for you, what's possible. Just like Dr. Kim, she was, again, very busy professionally, has three kids. She logically knew a lot of these things. She's like, I know what healthy food is. I know how to exercise, how to move my body. I even know that it's important to support my nervous system. But her knowing and putting into practice for like where her body was and what she needed at that season in her life were two different things. So it's like getting that clarity, getting that strategy helped her to really eliminate her anxiety, and which ultimately brought her metabolism back into balance so that she could release weight. Mary was another woman who came to me when she was insulin resistant. She overcame 30 years of self-doubt and saved hundreds of dollars on medications. She literally was like, I am somebody who always thought that I have always been somebody who just kind of struggled with health. I struggled with my weight. I never felt really confident and strong in my body. And I didn't even believe that it was possible for me to fix my metabolism. And I didn't have the energy. I just didn't feel like I had it in me. It's like going back to the why bother syndrome. I feel like I've tried everything under the sun. And what she just discovered is that it wasn't predestined. It wasn't like my health is just determined to be this way because everyone in my family had diabetes eventually. I could overcome this. I could actually experience true enjoyment and stand firmly with this mindset that this is my new normal. This is who I am now. Carmen fixed her thyroid function. She also was struggling with hypothyroid. She had a lot of hives. She would always have these like skin allergic breakouts. She released weight. She was able to have like energy to start a new business. And again, it was really helping her to see like why her body was reacting in hives, why her body was holding on to this extra weight, why her energy levels were tanked, and is coming up with some simple strategies that she can do. For her, it was really around some environmental toxins. This is going to be another part of the hormone integration piece that you'll get to figure out. Is there some things in your environment that you may not even realize that are blocking your body from healing, right? We talk about removing toxins as one of those things to minimize. It was also for her another thing to really think about self-care and prioritization, how she put herself on her calendar consistently and regularly made a big difference. Donna was hilarious. She worked with me. She's like, I'm going through a major life upheaval. I just got married. My new husband has three kids. I have three kids. We are blending families and building a house. So my life is crazy. And I know that, and she also owns her own business. She's like, I know when my life is crazy, I actually am going to have my health take a nosedive unless I have a plan. I need a plan so that I can go through this extra busy season in my life with sanity and actually feeling good. And she did this, blended her family, increased her income, and did this all while optimizing her metabolism and feeling better, having more energy, more mental clarity. She was able to like be present and truly enjoy so many different areas in her life. Like it has like all these ripple effects, right? So the formula for optimal health and vitality is really knowing what to maximize, what to minimize, and what to prioritize for your unique body and your life. At the end of the day, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do, but if you don't streamline it and know where your body is, it's really hard to know what to calm first so that your body can then heal and get this momentum going. And so, like I said, it's totally possible. It is something that is available for you. Again, this is just other, snippets of what different clients have shared with me. I'm celebrating that I'm consistently getting 7 hours of sleep now. I no longer struggle with insomnia. The tools and the practices you share have been a game changer. They let me get rid of the guilt and the shame that I used to have. I've been doing really well, lost a few more pounds. I'm conscious of the fats and the nutrients that I'm putting in my body. She knew this is for a woman named Corey. She knew for her fat intake was actually totally off, and she wasn't able to absorb any of the fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, that no wonder she had all of these mood symptoms and her metabolism was like stuck. Well, again, sometimes it's like we're not getting the right pieces of the holes fixed in the bucket, right? I love how my system for meal plans works for me and it fits into my life. Another woman says, I'm feeling fantastic. No more afternoon slumps. This was Lisa. I'm getting my workouts in the mornings and the bloating is gone. Your inspiration and support has been so valuable. So I just want to share, like, today was all about planting the seed of really understanding that this is about the nervous system, because the nervous system is at the center of how our body is signaling and how this orchestration of these different pieces, our hormones, our immune system, our metabolism, all of these things, our digestion, how they work in a symphony together. They're either synced up and signaling and working well, or they're all thrown off. And at the end of the day, we have to start with which of these archetypes is causing dysregulation in the nervous system so that we can know targeted areas to focus on. So tomorrow, what we're going to be talking about is the hormone integration piece. This is going to teach you how to connect the dots and help you create your health blueprint. So keep an eye on your email. Listen to today's session if you haven't yet. If you want to go back, like I said, I'll be putting all of the replay sessions audio on podcast on the Body Back on Balance podcast, so you can listen to it if you want to hear some of this again. And if you want to watch the video, you'll be getting that via email as well. But tomorrow we're going to be tuning into, again, how to share that quiz so you can get your archetype and really start to focus, know where to plug the holes in your bucket, how to start to get that momentum going. So great to see you ladies here today. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'm excited to continue this journey as we progress forward. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you. Have a beautiful night. My pleasure. Thank you.